What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting they're possibilities for you to consider, in which you can then come up with your own logical conclusions. Welcome out, everyone, all of you great decoders out there around the world, both male and female. My name is Logan, and this is Decode Your Reality, and today we're going to be breaking down and decoding the speed of light. That the intro song by White Bat Audio, I really love his stuff. Really kind of very fast-paced beats per minute to represent the speed of light. And I've been wanting to do this one for a while, and here it is. In this one, I have some massive gem drops for all you great decoders. So welcome out. Those of you that are new and found my channel from another platform, welcome out. Glad you're here. Try to stick with what we're going to bring to the table here. We're going to connect a lot of dots using many mystical art platforms, languages, and tarot cards, and cards of illumination, and alchemy, and pure math to describe the narration of how this reality works. We are living in a simulation, and the simulation needs light, which is why this decode is very important. And those of you that are returning, thank you for all your support. Your continued support. I appreciate each and every one of you. So it really starts with this right here. Bam! Speed of light, 56. And I did a decode on just the number 56. Speed of light, 56. And that's a match to what Hollywood says for movies, because a movie needs lights. It needs light. Matter of fact, when you go to the movie, next time you go to the movies, and you're sitting down, just turn around and look up behind you, and you're going to see the projector spitting out light. That projects the movie, because we're in a movie. Speed of light, 56, direct match to lights, camera, action. And it leads really to this, and it tells us, see, we now take the science of numbers, which is numerology. And we get this 56 from the speed of light and lights, camera, action, telling us we're in a movie. And now we want to solidify that. We bring in alchemy. So here's the element that has got 56 protons. Of course, light's made up with protons. It's barium. Barium's average weight is 137.905. When you do the original, because I get a lot of people, hey, can you use different languages? And yeah, you can. And I'm going to be showing you many languages throughout this decode to show you it doesn't matter what language you will use. You will find the same source code playing out in the background. But here's a perfect example. Barium's name comes from the Greek word. I believe it's Barius or Baris. And it's a 64, and then you just connect that right back to alchemy, and it's the GD element. Like if you just put a vowel in there, what do you spell out? Yeah, it's the GD element, and it's gadolinium. And the the picture that the Royal Society of Chemistry uses for this element right here is the television screen, because they make television screens, or at least they used to, with gadolinium. So if you can put two and two together, you realize the speed of light is essentially what we're all dealing with, because we're humans, H-U-E, slowed down into physical matter. I mean, the great band Tool did an awesome job on their last album, the song called Pneuma. It says we're the sun becoming. We got 1 foot nailed down. I mean, I'm not saying they're the authoritative, but I'm going to show you that's exactly what this means. We're inside of a movie. You're in a soap opera. Call it the Truman Show. Call it whatever you want. We're being watched. We're being observed like rats in a cage. And you just got to have fun with this. And this is kind of a no-brainer here. And I mean, just the comedy with theology. Those of you that are theology fans, how many fish did the Christ and the apostles catch in that, casting the nets over to the right side of the boat? Yeah, right there. It's the Vesica Pisces. And that's the joke. That's the comical joke with all of this kind of stuff. So let me start off with a bang with this presentation, just so we can be crystal clear. This presentation, we're going to be crystal clear. So light travels. This is what science tells us. I don't know what else to go off of. Travels at a constant finite speed of 186,000 miles per second. And then after that, I found a traveler moving at the speed of light would circumnavigate the equator approximately 7.5 times in 1 second. Interesting. But here's the connection. And here is the absolute for what I'm about to show you and what it's tied to. So there's no more doubts anymore. You see, just alchemy, how valuable this platform is. Tying it to numerology. There it is, rhenium. It's got the 186 for its average, 100% abundance of this element. And rhenium, ladies and gentlemen, is tied to Lucifer. And Lucifer, of course, is known as the light bringer. Well, we're talking about the speed of light. How about that? So there you go. Now the cat's out of the bag, folks. See, when you're saying, oh, Lucifer and the devil, well, do you really know what you're saying? Because it's clear that this is absolute now if you're a person who uses common sense and logic. And then when you do the numerology of the original spelling of Halil, because see, it wasn't Lucifer. Lucifer is the Latin translation of his name, but they pronounce it Halil. I just call it Hell. It's Hyll. Here it is. In the Hebrew, where it originated from, in Isaiah 14 verses 12, bam, there it is. It's a match to the protons of rhenium. So you have the 75 protons of rhenium. You have the weight, most abundant, 186, tied to the light traveling at a finite speed of 186,000 miles a second. So, and Lucifer is known as the light bringer. So do you see now the clarification that now we have absolutes? There's absolutely no doubt of what's going on here. The story goes and tells us exactly. And then if you want to just cement it all, Lucifer and rhenium in the Chaldean are both 28s. So there you go, folks. I mean, what more do we to say? I mean, we've really solidified this placement here. Rhenium, by the way, when you look at it through science, it's got the highest boiling point of any element, the highest. And 58, 69, if you know what you're looking for, the yin-yang's in there, 58's tied to the puppet master, and it's also tied to nickel, which I'm going to be showing just in a little bit. But there it is, folks, ironclad. Now we don't have any doubts anymore. We can see what Lucifer really is. It's light, okay? Even the element rhenium, it comes from this place in Germany called Mainz or Mainz. And look at the latitude, longitude, as I like to bring in to show another layer of how scripted this reality is. 49 plus 8 is 57. And there's the weight of nickel, old Saint Nick, and 28 protons, Lucifer, rhenium. You see how much of a joke this is, this reality? It's just, you gotta have fun with it. We can't be so serious. It's a scripted, predestined reality. This is support for that. I mean, even this right here, if you've been paying attention, down in a hole is 49. I did a decode on that. What goes down in the hole? Light does. This is the comedy. This is the comedy, and this is the intro. So, bam, there you go, folks. There's the intro. I could have just did the mic drop and left it alone, and that'd be it. But I have so much amazing content, man. I can't wait to, especially the end. Woo! Bring in some astrology. But anyway, we finished the zero in the intro. Number one, the actual speed of light in kilometers, 299,792,458 miles a kilometer per second. Number two, 93 million miles. Yeah, you should know what that means. So I'm going to show you the connections using the script, the source code of why the 93 million is so popular. Number three, the last topic is Sulfur Dragon. This one's going to bring in some astrology. Man, I'm going to show you the origins. And then I always like to hear what you saw in the last placement. Number four, what did you see? Keep your comments coming. So let's jump into this first topic, the measurement of the speed of light. Measured in kilometers. 299,792,458. So there, lots of tongue twisters saying that fast 10 times. But what I wanted to really clarify, I wanted to really get this point across. So please pay attention. All of you great decoders, this is important. Okay, this is an alternate way to observe the code. But it has its own merit, and it is absolute in my book. Because, a lot of us are using the golden ratio, square, string of pi. A lot of you great decoders are now using it. You're seeing how powerful this source code is in these measurements of math. But what we've been doing is we've been using really getting this party started, we use this. I use this Sabidium.com, and they have the pi and they have the phi. But what you're going to find out is when you type in your number, it's going to tell you where this digit is located. If you're looking for two numbers, it's going to tell you you're going to have to add on 30 and 31. However, this does not count the 1 point. So, phi is 1.61. Pi is 3.14. Well, when you measure stuff in pi and phi, it doesn't include before the decimal, the number before that. So we now have an alternate way to look at this code. And this is what I'm going to be showing. And this is, once again, proof, support that numbers encroach, numbers bleed, and they have their own set of merits. And it's just like, they pair up, they form, they form threes and fours. So just keep this in mind when I'm showing this right now, because you'd be like, how did you get that? You could just tack on a digit. I'm going to show you how to do that. So this is a perfect example. Here it is. So 56 appears the 30 and 31st decimal digit. I just showed that. However, if you add on the 1 point, it's going to be 31 and 32. 5 is going to be 31. 6 is going to be 32. So it's going to move it up a digit. So these numbers encroach. The tarot cards, they end up encroaching. Mathematics encroach. All that stuff, they all move into one another and they bleed and they blend. So this is what it looks like right here. Here's the 56. Well, when you add on the 1 point, you get 32. So just be aware, 56 is found at the 31st and 32nd digit in the string of the golden ratio when you add on the 1 point. I want to be very, very case specific of this. So there's no doubt, no questions. And this is not fudging anything, me trying to, you're doing it wrong. I'm kind of one of the few people that have brought this out onto the world stage in the decoding world. So I think I know what I'm talking about. And I'm saying that I own that space, okay? All right, so let's jump into this. Speed of light in a vacuum, 299,792,458. It's approximately 300,000 kilometers. They rounded up 186,000 miles a second. When we look at that in the string of the golden ratio, using what I just showed you, including the 1 point, you're going to get the 3 at the 299th decimal digit right there. And right next to it is the 6. And it's the 300th digit. So again, why am I showing that? Because it's 299, but they round up to 300. So we're going to use both of those numbers. 299, 300. And it gives us the number 36, which is going to tie to the word operating as an operating system. But I'm going to show you something before we get into that. When we take all the digits, here they are, And there's the 36 right at the end, right there. So this is 300 digits into the string of the golden ratio. It gives us 1,367, and bam, it's a prime number. 13, and prime numbers, I mean, if you're new to this, like, you got to go study what a prime number is. They're powerful standalone numbers. But it's the 219th prime number, and it's tied. Now, a lot of these elements, some of you know, they have the same weights, because these elements have decay rates. When you leave them out, they break down, they end up turning, they go down. So radium, when the decay rate, it goes down to radon. It goes through francium and then radon. Eventually it leads all the way down to lead, which is why we're all lead to gold down here. But nonetheless, these three elements share that 219 isotope. And what I want to highlight here, besides being Ra, the sun god, think about what I'm showing you here. The speed of light, and we add up all the digits of the source code of the golden ratio, and it's the 219th prime number. And you mean to tell me that radium, Ra, the sun god, has the 219? And then radon is just a decay of radium. Radon's tied to Lucifer, the son of the morning, otherwise known as the son of the dawn, Ray-Dawn. But you see, uranium is where they all start from. The you, it's you and me. And this right here, ladies and gentlemen, tied to the planet Uranus, which I feel is the 8th planet representing the Taurus field itself. But is this really the starting point of where light comes from? The you. And of course, the ether, right? The ether. But what's really fascinating is getting into uranium and Uranus. Here, right here, if you've been paying attention now, because science gives us a lot of clues, the decay rate, and then you have to really use critical thinking and put it into the scheme of how this reality works, and you're looking at a map of how this reality works. And here's the decay, starting with uranium, the U, the horseshoe, which is lucky, and here's the natural decay rate, going all the way down, and then it ends at lead. Then you get thallium here, which is tied to cannabis and the tree of knowledge. But if you follow radium and radon, and they're going to lead to lead, that's going to end to lead. And if you watched my prison planet, I showed and highlighted how big that lead was, the lead 207. It's tied to that loop, 1937-46. But what's really fascinating about Uranus, not only is it, tied to the number 25 and perhaps the projector itself. I mean, this would be the representation of Uranus casting out the light, the source, the black sun. Black sun is 25, uranium is 25. Now, I'm not saying these are absolutes, these are possibilities, but it's really interesting because, here's what Uranus looks like. And here's the great tie-in and how powerful Chaldean is, because if you go study Uranus, it's the only planet of its kind that sits just like this. It's like literally almost on over 90 degrees. It's actually measured at 90, they say it's measured at 97 degrees off its axis. And look at the connection right here. 97 is the 25th prime number, and bam, there it is, uranium 25. So this is not trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. This is to show you and highlight how powerful Chaldean is, tied to pure math and the source code. And this is why horseshoes, when you put them over your door, not down but pointing up, they're considered lucky. And there it is. And it's very possible that it's you and me, the U is uranium, the father of Saturn, by the way, in the Greek mythology. Right? And I think it's planet number 8. So here are the two big boys, father and son, right here. And, Saturn obviously has a lot of say in this because it's father time. And it's obvious that Saturn is Satan, yes. But it's not what you think it means. Satan is time. And of course, it's going to be the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, Jehovah, the New Age name. It's all Saturn-based. But you see, the father of Saturn is Uranus. And when you bring it, you can look at these two shapes, and when you bring them together, they what appear to form a torus field. And I feel like Saturn running time, it goes left to right. It runs the longitudinal lines of Earth, going east to west. And is it possible that Uranus runs the north to south? And they form up and they make this shape. I mean, if you take the shape of the torus field of what we all live in, I mean, if you take Saturn and put it right in the middle there, it's going to fit perfectly in there, and then Uranus is going to form the latitude. And this is how a torus field works. Contraction, expansion. And our game of life fits right in here. And the speed of light fits in there as well. I mean, even I highlighted it. Even what is that in the shape of in the letters? It's the letter I, folks. Now, is that stretching anything? Or is there really the letter I right there? I mean, it's an apple core, but it represents the letter I. I am that I am. You see? So we just got to look deeper and deeper and see that all things are connected esoterically when you really start to look at this stuff. So let's get back into this speed of light in a vacuum, the measurement of it, and where it's found in the golden ratio. The golden ratio obviously tied to light. Gold led to gold. Gold is the sun, tied to the sun and the speed of light. And what I decided to do is look at where the number 3 is located, obviously, at the 299th digit, and then the number 6, because the 299 million meters per second is measured in 186,000 miles per second. So I decided, where's the 186? Well, it's the number 6 occupies that digit. So we have a number 6 and we have a number 3. And when you bring those two together, you're going to get the number 36, which is right there anyway. So you can see how powerful this is, folks. This is how tightly woven this source code is. You convert it from meters or kilometers per second into miles per second, you're going to get the 6, which is tied to the 3. And then it doesn't matter because the 36 is right there side by side, forming that compound number, making up the kilometers per second, 299 rounded up to the 300. And that's going to lead right into this word called operating, which I showed heavily in my Wizard of Oz Decoded. The operating system. System is 20, representing duality. Light coming down to become man or woman. And this is, operating system is 56. And it's right there, folks. I mean, you can't miss this stuff. And this is just keeping it in the family of the Chaldean numerology, reminding you that Chaldean is the oldest numerology cipher on the planet. The oldest. Okay? It doesn't mean that it's superior above all else, but I mean, I've been showing over and over, many of you great decoders have been showing over how powerful and tightly woven this system is inside the source code. I think it's the top dog cipher. That's my opinion. So let's keep going right there. Bam, 56 tied to the 36. Again, representing barium. Barium is 137. The 137 is tied, to light itself. The 137 is. The fine structure. You guys know this if you've been studying this kind of stuff. And then 137 is the 33rd prime number. So there you go. So let's get into the second topic now. 93 million miles. And I'm going to show you why that is. The sun's 93 million miles away, and a lot of people refute that. Well, there's no way to prove it. No way to prove it, but let's see what the source code has to say about this. So 93 in the string of the golden ratio appears at the 137th, 138th decimal digit. That's going to be tied to what Jason from Archaics talks about, the Phoenix return, the 138. So it's tied to the 93, tied to the speed of light, tied to these measurements that they give us in science. And it's tied to the movie, lights, camera, action. I mean, it's all right there, folks. Barium, 137, 33rd prime number, 33 is tied to the Phoenix. The Phoenix rises 137, 138, 93 million miles. Just right there, an alternate way to look at the code. Not just taking someone's word for it or listening to someone's interpretation. So, again, here's the average distance. Now, again, I'm not saying this is true, but I'm going to show you why it's in the source code and why people think it's true and say it is. And again, there's no way to prove it, against it or for it. Yeah, you can say, oh, look up, you can see it's, I've watched plenty of videos of people that launch the balloons up into space. And it's tough to tell how far away it is because it's so bright. But nonetheless, there's the 93 tied to the 137, which is going to be tied to the 33. So let's just keep going with this, right? Now, what I thought was really interesting is it's the variances. I love doing conversions, Celsius to Fahrenheit, Fahrenheit to Kelvin, kilometers to miles. There's so many ways to break this down. But what I thought was really interesting, the big takeaway from this excerpt that I found was it's in a range. Like they say, it's 93 million miles away, 150 million kilometers away, but really they give you the closest and the farthest away distance-wise. And the perihelion, being the closest, is measured around 147 million kilometers. When you look at that 147, that's going to be tied to Pi Day, March 14th, 74th day of the year, common and leap. Add 73 and 74 up, it's going to give you 147. Our blood is measured at 7.3, 7.4. These are all layers of the source code, tied in, tightly woven this code is. From the starting point of the closest distance, tied to our blood, it is. And then the farthest away, 152 million kilometers. So in between, I'm like, okay, let's check the math on this. And this number right here, 151, is a freaking prime number. Not just any prime number, it's the 36th prime number. And bam, there it is. That 36 occupying digits 299 and 300, which is the measurement of the speed of light. Right there. Pure math, pure source code right here, showing you the source code. But then it continues on again, just a reminder, 36, when you see 36, 3, 6, and 9, 36 adds up to the number 9. It's the keys to the universe. Yeah, the keys to the universe is the operating system. It's the I am. If you add up iodine and americium, that's going to give you 369, which I showed in my Dios decode. I've shown it in many decodes now for years. But we keep going, and I decided to look and see, okay, well, is there another number in between this 147 million and 152 million that's a prime number? And yes, 151, and then the one digit that is also a prime is the 149. And these are the only two numbers that make up primes in between the perihelion and the aphelion, the closest and farthest away the sun would be, what we're being told. And look at what we have here. 149 is the 35th prime number. Check out my simulation Decoded. It's right there. I showed you how that's tied to my birthday. I was born on the 35th day of the year. And then you got the operating system. So how about that right there? Two big words. The operating system is the simulation. And they're tied to these two numbers, which just so happen to be inside the perihelion and the aphelion of what we're being told about the sun and how far away it is from Earth. So this is source code right here, folks. And you can say, a lot of people say, no, they're lying and deceiving. And okay, well, is this deceiving you? I don't care what people say. I care what the source code says. This is in the source code. It's right there. You can't deny it unless you don't really observe the source code. So what happens when and I do this a lot, and I encourage all of you great decoders to do this, when you get a prime number, add the two numbers together. So you add the 151 plus the 36, and you get 187. This number is really big. If you watch my Illumination Decoded, Shazam, it's this one. The 187.226 is when you add up all 13 elements that represent the 13 zodiac signs, Ophiuchus included in there. It's hydrogen through aluminum, and it's illumination. Aluminum or aluminium means luminary body, going down into the hole. It's Al. You can call me Al. You know that song by Paul Simon, You can call me Al. It's Al. If you start looking for the word Al in your reality, you'll start to see it. It's all over the place. It's 13. That's why 13 is the most powerful number. You get the 13 bloodlines, and I know this really well. I was born at 1:03 a.m. But anyway, the 187 is tied to this element right here, osmium. The Wizard of Osmium. Showed this in my illumination decoder. What governs over the light that goes down into the hole? Well, obviously the zodiac signs do. Obviously. And there's a lot of syncs with this right here. Massive, massive syncs right here. And then if you add these up, you get 431, which is pi itself, just kind of a permutation of that. So then you can take these two elements right here that make up this 36 and 151, and we get another layer to look at through the source code. It's this element europium, which is from Europe, the EU. Oh man, this one's big. And then the krypton. So we have the 151 with europium, and then we have the 36 with krypton. And, you know, when you add these up, of course, it's going to be 99. But then when you add up the atomic weights together, you get 236.832. And, you know, if you look at this 236, again, 36 is tied to the operating system, which is tied to the speed of light, which is where it's measured in the kilometers per second. Right there. And the 236. The 236. That's how you got to start looking at these numbers. And when you add them up together, I like doing this, taking the decimal away, adding up the male and female sides, gives you 1,068. Not a big deal if you don't know what you're looking at, but when you start to look at it a little bit deeper, there's the connection. We take the speed of light, 56. And we look at where's that 56 appears in the string of the golden ratio. Golden ratio, gold, sun, light. Well, there it is. Here are all the digits added up. 168. See? You just take the zero out of there, but it's there. That's not trying to fit a square peg in a round hole at all. This is the source code. So we have, again, you know, if you want to get into advanced decoding, if you want to get into the string of pi and the golden ratio, I'm going to suggest that you start taking into consideration to add another digit in there. So this whole representation of where the speed of light fits, 56, is going to be 168, but it's also going to have the 167 if you subtract the 1 point. And there's another way to look at that. 167 is a prime number tied to erbium. But this element right here, this has been a quiet element. No one's really brought this one up. Thulium, tied to Thule, which is one of the farthest north towns you can possibly go to. You're now getting into really cold Arctic air. And to me, hell is cold. But it's thulium. There's an Air Force base up there, but this is the yin-yang element, the TM, which is, you know, there's a lot of syncs to this because T is the 20th letter, M is the 13th. You add up to 20 and to 13, you're going to get 33. So you can see this is a big deal. I mean, is something going on up in Thule? There's an Air Force base up there. Why would they have an Air Force base way up in the Arctic? Something up there? Anyways, this 168 and 167, again, these numbers are going to bleed. But the 167, if we exclude the 1 point, it's a prime number. Again, it's the 39th prime number. And here's again another tie into the light bringer Lucifer. Because being the 39, we bring in alchemy again, and it's this element yttrium. 39 protons. And here's the Hebrew 39. So Hebrew gematria, the full, is going to be 75. The Hebrew, the normal way to look at the numbers and the letters, it's 39. And then it's going to go to 12. Ultimately, you're going to lead to the number 3. And it's going to lead to 3.14 pi, which is going to where light's going to go down into the hole. But it's 88 miles an hour. And, you know, I've showed this before. You know, the shape of a snake's tongue, the serpent. What is the shape? What letter comes out of a snake's tongue? It's the letter Y. And this is the comedy, folks. That's written in the source code. Like the snake talked to Eve. All this stuff. Like, did that really happen? I don't know. I've never even heard of a talking snake. Have you, anybody ever got talked to by a snake before? No, it only happened 6,000, 7,000 years ago. It's never happened again in the history of mankind. Yeah, because it never happened. That's why. But anyway, there you go. More ties to Lucifer, okay? So let's get into the third topic now, the last topic. This is the best one, I think. If you weren't wowed with the other ones, this one really is, I thought was pretty amazing. Maybe showing you how we got here. Okay, so the sulfur dragon. And what's light? I'm going to show you light. And what is the dragon? The great dragon got hurled down? Well, here it is. So those of you that are like, oh, can you use other languages? Yep. This is just to show you that even though I think Chaldean is the top dog cipher, and you only need to use it to define this reality, I'm going to bring in some other languages and show you it doesn't matter. But here's Hebrew / Aramaic. The word light in Hebrew is a 27. I mean, it starts with the letter 20. I think it starts or ends, because this is in reverse, actually. But anyway, it's got the duality in there, but it's 27 tied to this element, cobalt. Cobalt, to me, the CO stands for chaos and order. That's exactly the yin-yang in our reality. And this cobalt gives a lot of clues. One of them is the numerology of cobalt, 20. How about that? It's tied to the word duality. So what happens when light comes down to earth? It comes down into duality. It's spirit turning into matter. Spirit turning into an avatar. Just like the band Tool sang in their song Pneuma. Pneuma means spirit. We're the sun becoming. That's absolute for me. But anyway, the big clue is this icon the Royal Society of Chemistry uses for this element cobalt. Let me just zoom in and just really give you, ladies and gentlemen, what this is saying, because it'll tell you here's a goblin, because this cobalt comes from the German word kobold with a K, and there's the goblin, and it's got a ball sitting in front of it. And then notice there's a pine cone at the top. Yeah, to me that's the pineal gland. Light coming down, and the pineal gland has a lot to do with light. And then there's the dragons on either side, and the dragons form the sine wave, the sine and cosine wave. And then you get Michael and the dragon. It's all light. The dragon is light. The dragon is, which makes up the dollar bill, or the dollar sign, the symbol. And then how valuable these have been. The medicine cards, the 52 cards in the medicine deck, animals, insects, reptiles, etc., etc. Well, lo and behold, of course, these people were being used because they weren't sitting down with these layers to try to make it fit. No, this is the source code. Making it before we even got here. And it's the dragon, the great dragon got hurled down. So how about that? Right there. You can't miss it. Dragons for the icon for cobalt. Dragonfly 27. So what is light? It's the dragon. The great dragon got hurled down. It's light, folks. That's what it is. It's light. That's where you get Lucifer the light bringer from. And here it is. I mean, if you want solidified support for this, just look to math and alchemy and then add in some numerology and you get your code. But this element right here, lutetium, Manly P. Hall, Secret Teachings of All Ages. I'm not saying he's the authority on all this, but he says Lucifer's numbers are 741, and they're right inside that element right there. It's just not exactly 741. It's a permutation of that. It's kind of like a number anagram. It's the 174. It's the 71st element. It's called lutetium. Lucifer, Lucy in the sky with diamonds. And 71, when you bring it into howvaluablenumberempire.com, love this website. It's the 20th prime number, and then it leads us to calcium. You see, 99% of all our calcium is stored in the teeth and the bones. Without your teeth and bones, you ain't got no avatar. That's the foundation of your house. So this is obviously a no-brainer here. This is spirit coming down and becoming man or woman. And the 39 is the most abundant. 39 leads to Halil, which is Lucifer's real spelling, the original, 39. And then it's tied to duality. This is exactly what this tells us right here. It's this light coming down and playing out a game. Mankind's being used, folks. So here are some alternate spellings for the word light. Just so we can show the expansiveness of this source code. Light in the very middle is the English. Now, I want to let all of you know, the reason why I feel English is going to be the top dog language is because it's the most spoken language on the planet. So I'm not saying it has seniority, but I mean, that's what most people speak their spells with is English. But then, Mandarin's second, and I didn't even have the conversion for that, for the symbols to get into letters. But the third one is Spanish. And there it is, folks. Bam, 16. I mean, in Latin, it's Lucius, 16. And then a lot of you great decoders over in the Netherlands, the great country of the Netherlands and Germany, there's their word for light, and it's the same match. It's a 16. Same cipher, ladies and gentlemen. So 16 is where it's at, and that's the days of creation, 1 through 6. It's tied to the Tower card in the tarot, and the Tower card is the explosion and where the light comes out. So we link it once again to Lucifer again, and we have alchemy to thank for that because the 16th element is sulfur. This element right here is its most abundant, and then its average is 32. But this element is called isotope 32. If you ever get in science and you have the ability to round up, you just know it's going to be that isotope. So this is isotope 32, but it's got 31 for its weight. And there's the tie-in. Sulfur's 28, Lucifer's 28. Remember, it's tied to rhenium. It's got the highest boiling point. And I mean, right here. I mean, how else are you going to describe this? Other than what I'm showing you, I mean, are you going to continue? Are you someone who will continue to refute it, or just continue with the theology bashing? And well, the pastor told me it's this and that. Well, obviously, what are you going to believe? What I'm showing you here, using common sense and logic, or what someone's interpretation of something is? And this is not like a one-hit wonder, like just using numerology. I'm blending many other layers into this. But let's keep going. Here's an actual picture of sulfur. Look what color it is. It's yellow. And the most common picture for the sun is yellow, which is why I feel Lucifer is heavily tied to the sun. I know a lot of people, it's Venus, and it'll be there because when the sun travels through Taurus and Venus, and yeah. But sulfur's yellow, the sun's yellow, and there it is. I mean, when you melt this down, it turns red, and if you burn it, it turns blue. And you get the yellow and blue, and that's going to be the 35 simulation or the 53 iodine. But anyway, let's get into more of the pure mathematics of this source code. Starting with light being 16, going down into sulfur, matching that up, and tying it into the string of the golden ratio. 56 appearing at digits 30 and 31, or 31 and 32. And there it is. It's the match to this right there. And the 56 is going to give you lights, camera, action. So the light is what provides us the ability to play in the movie. And it's the light bringer that provides that. Lucifer. And I feel like the architect or architects, it comes down here and plays out its own game. I mean, if you study Greek mythology, it's a ton of times Jupiter's come down and had relations with a mortal woman. Plenty of stories in there. Plenty of them. And why do people put their faith in what someone interprets from a book, but then someone tells you a story and they call it Greek mythology and say, oh, that's just a myth. It's just funny. Yeah, but they believe in a talking snake. But they won't believe in other stuff. I just don't understand what people's logic and common sense is. Anyway, here are some more mystical art platforms just to provide the support for this light Lucifer 16, the 16th card in the cards of illumination. This is the 16th card, the 3 clubs card. Again, if you want these graphics, just send me an email. I've sent them to countless people, but there it is, the 3 clubs, 16th card in the deck of the way I was taught, fire, air, water, earth, right there. And what's interesting about this right here, if you go watch my Lucifer Decoded, I have several Lucifers decoded, but part 2, the show Lucifer on Netflix, really popular. The guy they casted to play it, Thomas John Ellis, guess what his birth card is? 3 of clubs. Is that an accident? Is that coincidence? Is that trying to mock you and screw you over? Come on, people. There's no mocking going on. The Three of Clubs becomes the Three of Wands. Three of Wands, this is all about launching long-term plans. Look at the colors in the background, yellow. Launching long-term plans. Yeah, that's exactly what you do when you come down and become an avatar. And then in the medicine deck, it's the Great Raven card. And the raven is the bird that delivers magic to the world. It's the raven of the magi. If you go study the medicine cards, what's, again, more of my source code, the only tattoo I have on my left forearm is a freaking raven. I got that when I was in the military in 1991 when I was asleep. Had no idea. But, of course, my life's completely scripted. I got phoenixes on my right arm, representing the simulation, and I got a raven on my left forearm, tied to Lucifer. I was born on a Sunday. Lucifer represents the sun, folks. So when we bring more alchemy into this, and numberempire.com, we take light in 16, we go down to sulfur and 16 protons, and then we get this number here, 53, because 53 is the 16th prime number. So I'm going to take these two elements, I'm going to bring them together, and what do they spell out? The word is. Everything just is. It's the 919 if you follow the English. It's going to eventually give you the 91, but it's going to add up to this element right here, terbium. It's going to add up to 69. It's going to go back to thulium. 53 plus 16 is 69, but when you add up the weights, it gives you 158, that's terbium. And here's the comedy. You see, terbium, here's the icon the Royal Society of Chemistry uses. It's a picture of a CD. And the reason why, if you go to there, let me just show you, this is the comedy of this reality. Okay? And the Royal Society of Chemistry is not mocking anybody. Okay? They're not mocking anybody. Here it is right there. There's the picture. And when you scroll down and you look under the uses and properties, look what it says. The abstracted compact disc reflects the use of the element in the manufacture of the first rewritable compact disc. Well, what writes this reality? Light. If you put a CD in a CD player, what reads the CD? A light. The light. If you got the lens dirty, it wouldn't play. You remember that with the CD players? The lens. The small little eye lens in the CD player, that thing got dirty, man, it wouldn't play. Light is what reads CD players. And there it is, right there. The comedy. Again, the comedy just continues. It's all in the source code script. So this is how I feel the representation of mankind is, and you got to have fun with this. You can't go so serious and get all bent out of shape and pissed off and look, folks, find your code. Find out what you're doing here. That's, to me, is the purpose of life. If we have any free will, that's what your free will should be spent on, is figuring out what your specific code is, decoding yourself. Because then you figure out exactly what your owner's manual is and what you're tied to and what's handling you, what's running you. And then you can surrender instead of trying to fight against things. But it's, the marionette and the marionettist. It's the architect. The demiurge, right? Tied to the Lightbringer, of course, tied to the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, tied to Jesus, tied to all these Yaldabaoths in there. But the funny thing is the conversion of temperature. Then we bring in the tarot again. You see, this is isotope 32 from sulfur. Well, this is the Fool card, the 0 card. Well, when you do the conversion of 32 into Celsius from Fahrenheit, there's the 0 conversion. 32, by the way, the big takeaway for 32, it's when water freezes. So the whole aspect of 32 and 33, those degrees, is the transmutation of water from a solid to a liquid or liquid to solid. And 32 represents physical matter. It's coming down and becoming man. That's what this tells us right here. Coming down to become the fool, the joker. The Joker and the Thief. All on the Watchtower, that great song. I can't get no relief. So much confusion. Yeah, it's this whole reality. And then when you do the 31 in the string of the golden ratio straight up without the 1 point, adding that in there, it's the 137, 33rd prime number. 33 is the transmutation of water from a solid to a liquid. And then the other big takeaway is you put it into the string of pi, same outcome. This is how powerful and dialed in the 31 is. What's pi? 3.14. Just doesn't have the 4 there, but it's there. It's all about light, folks. Without the light, we got no game, man. Without Lucifer, you ain't got no game. And everybody just bashes it, and because the pastor told me this. Well, here we go. We're going to get into some astrology to end this great presentation. I hope you've been enjoying this and my humor, my ups and downs and my zaniness. I get really animated with this stuff because I'm really passionate about it. But here's a big truth bomb for all of you great decoders. And so we start with light being 16 protons in sulfur having the most abundant weight of 31. Well, that's going to be connected to gallium. You see, because it's got 31 protons. This is a really important element. The average weight of gallium is 69. Again, tied to the speed of light, if you've been paying attention, with thulium and iodine and sulfur being tied together, 69. But it's the rooster. You see, gallium, here's the other comedy. Gallium has an icon of the rooster. So you go here and you look up this element, and there's the rooster. And it's from France. And France has the red, white, and blue flag. But I would encourage you to go read this stuff right here. Okay? Read it and why it was chosen. And why the rooster? Why did they choose the rooster? Because read about it. It's not trying to screw you over. It's not trying to mock you. It's not trying to pull the woolly over your eyes. No, this has legitimacy of why this is chosen right here. And then you look at the uses of this. Look what it says. It's also used in light-emitting diodes, converting electricity to light. You see, folks, this is the source code. And it's the rooster. And what do roosters do? What are they known for? Roosters are known to wake your ass up at 5:30 in the morning when that sunrise comes up. The sunrise. Think about what I'm telling you. That's going to be tied to radon, the son of the morning, which is Lucifer. And I mean, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. The rooster's 30, demiurge is 30. The word Jehovah, the new age name of the Yod-Heh-Vah is 30. So what do you think it is? What do you think Lucifer is? Yod-Heh-Vah. It's all the same, folks. They're all tied together. And now we get into the last part in astrology. And perhaps how we got here. I'm going to show you starting off with some Chinese astrology. How valuable Chinese is. Man, I love Chinese astrology. I was born in the year of the ox. How about you? But I made a little marker here, and I put the compass around, and I've been having a lot of nuggets with this, a lot of fun with this compass over the 360-degree zodiac wheel, which has a big say in running our reality. And if you start here in the 0 position, and you go counterclockwise, which is what the Sobolo chart does, the 30-degree marker is right here. There's the red line right there. And so in between the 30 and the 0 is owned and operated by the rooster. Yeah, the rooster. You know that song by Alice in Chains, You Can't Stop the Rooster? It was in the great show The Punisher on Netflix. Whew, that show was amazing. The rooster. It starts to blow its horn when the sun comes up. Saturn, time, Yod-Heh-Vah, Lucifer. It's all tied to this. 0 to 30, 30 degrees, demiurge. And then just across the way, forming a symbiotic relationship, is the rabbit. And what shape is on the moon? The rabbit. Follow the white rabbit, Neo. So you come down from time, you get casted down, and you come out through the moon. As I showed in my prison planets. Showed this before I found this. You know, the great Santos Panaggi thinks the moon's a portal. He thinks that's the way we get in here. Christoph, the Truman Show, he's from the moon, sitting on the moon, trying to direct Truman. And there it is. It's the rabbit. And what's interesting is when you look at these degrees, they have a lot of clues. Because the dragon's in here, 22 degrees. From Saturn, Chronos, time. And down here is the 161 marker. It's also the number 200. How many fallen angels were in that story? 200. Right there. Following the white rabbit through the moon down into time. Playing out this game into duality. That's why I got the checkerboard floor here. Bam! This is a big deal breaker truth bomb right here, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a fan of astrology. But let's get into a little bit more. So, here's just highlighting it. Yeah, Rooster, Jehovah, it's Saturn. Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh is Saturn. It's right on the King James Bible at the very top in the small little letters. It's right in the very middle. The Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, the symbols. So Roman Catholicism is Judaism. Okay? That's just a little, not a secret anymore, but it's all Judaism. But here's the Alice story. Alice is 30 in the English. Follows the rabbit into time. Rabbit is 12. 12 is the hangman, the last zodiac sign. Pisces, the two fish. Yin Yang, Jesus and Thomas. It's just all in the story there. And there's the rabbit on the moon. Right there, remember, the 200's there, the golden ratio's there. It's all there following just the Chinese. And then we get into Capricorn, because you see, the rooster is sign number 10. Say 10. We got 10 fingers, 10 toes. You're the devil. You and I, we're the devil. We're the devil down here, playing out our little avatars, trying to be good little devils. And it's Capricorn. And there's the 32. You see, the 32 degrees. When we turn, water turns into a solid, we become the fool. 32 in Fahrenheit converts to 0 degrees Celsius, and we get the fool. We all become fools. We're the jokers down here, said the joker to the thief. How do I get myself out of here? There's so much confusion. I can't get no relief. Yeah, you're in Wonderland. You're in the freaking nightmare. Nightmare's 30, by the way. This is the Jack in the Box. This is all telling us the comical nature of this reality. And it's the sea goat of time. That's why we're in the sea of space, by the way. That's why we're in the United States anyway. You're in maritime law because it's ruled by Capricorn. Capricorn is the sea goat. We're in the sea of space. Maritime law. That's why all that stuff exists. And it's the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. And it's the sun and the moon. And David Icke does a great job of talking about the Saturn-Moon matrix. Yeah, it's right there. It's all tied together. This is just absolute proof. So we go back to this light being 16, being tied to sulfur and gallium, and let's bring in the last element here to finalize this decode of Speed of Light Decoded. Bet you didn't think it would end this way. But it's this erbium. You see, as I showed in my last decode, which a lot of you didn't watch, it was, and of course, because people aren't interested in stuff like that. Pi Phi Decoded. Most people aren't even going to make it to this part right here. Only 15% will make it to the end of this podcast or this presentation. You want it bad enough if you're here. But erbium is the 68. I showed erbium being tied to duality. And I feel that erbium is perhaps the way we get in and out of this reality. Going to be the mirror of the 86. It's going to be radon. It's going to be tied to Lucifer, the light bringer. And right here is the original spelling of the tetragrammaton. You see, erbium is going to be 167, but if I go to erbium and we click on that right there, the average is 167, being the 39th prime number. You go down to the oxidation states and isotopes, and there's the 167, and it's the 168th isotope. I think I have a little typo there, but anyway, there's the 168. This is isotope 168. Tetragrammaton. 68. Tied to the mouth, the throat, which I showed in my last decode. Drop my periodic table out there. But this is it right here. You just follow it down. 16, 16, 31, 31, 68, 68. Right there. You just can't miss it. It's the tetragrammaton. And the tetra meaning 4, the box. And the aton at the end, thank you, Jordan Maxwell, means the sun. It's the sun becoming man. And then controlling man remotely. Having fun with its game. So I have 2 slides, and then I'm going to ask you what you saw. Thanks for sticking with me. I hope you really found some gems in this. I did while I was decoding this. I've had this one shelved for a while, and then I pulled it out yesterday, and I was like, wow, okay. But anyway, here's what I feel runs this reality from a default position. Now, this wheel, as we know through astrology, it spins. But the default position, this is the so below chart, not the as above. It's going to look a little bit different. But this is how we observe it from a default position as an astrologer reading astrology charts. Over here in the rising position, it's the sign of Aries. And look at what it is, 270 degrees. That's going to, the 270, 271 is going to be tied to a prime number. But anyway, and we go counterclockwise. So we're down here. We're on the dance floor, right? We're on the, and this is the 6 days of creation. This is all yin energy. Here's all yang energy. But anyway, down here is a symbiotic relationship with up here. Remember, this is 30 degrees demiurge and the great dragon 22 being here and hurled down. But I feel like this is the father-son duo that have a lot to say. And I know I had brought Uranus into this, which I feel has a lot of merit as well. All these planets play out their role. They're working in a like an anthropomorphic kind of situation, like a Transformers, or a Voltron. Remember that cartoon where they all come together and they play out their part? But it's the father-son, Jupiter and the father Saturn. And Jupiter's got the great red spot on there. And what you'll notice, I mean, going left, it's 30, but it's 330 when you come all the way around. And then Jupiter, Sagittarius, runs Sagittarius. There's the 330 as well. So these, you can start to see these, and this right here forms the X. Right here. And a photon of light will be in here as well. And then down at the bottom is the moon operating through Cancer and Gemini representing and running the two twins, Castor and Pollux. And I showed that in my decode of Random Thoughts number 11. Remember the 200s here, the fallen angel stories there, the golden ratios there. But what's really interesting as well is, in where the 200 is, the fallen angel story, think about what I'm about to tell you now. What's a very debilitating disease on the world stage that kills so many people? Cancer. Cancer does. Why did they name it that? And this cancer is tied to the 200 fallen angel story right here. Think about what I'm telling you right now. Why'd they choose that word cancer? Well, then you got the prison with the two twins. I showed that, the prison right here. So the moon and Mercury in numerology, when you do that really quickly, just so I can show you, when you do Mercury, it's going to be the same outcome. That's a 23, just like moon. So they're both 23s, and they're both at the bottom, and they're both, the symbiotic relationship is Saturn and Jupiter. And they form that X, they form that hourglass shape, which fits right over the top, and there's your ages. There is your hourglass, your sands of time, right there, ruling over this reality. And when those sands run out, this wheel moves. This wheel moves, and then we begin a new age. And a lot of people think, myself included, we're in the age of Aquarius, which means that Leo is going to be down here or up here, depending on your vantage point. But it's going to be Aquarius up here, and Aquarius, old school Saturn, but new is Uranus ever since it was discovered. But I feel like this is a huge revelation in my decoding, and I hope it will be in yours right here. But I thought this was very interesting. I mean, think about it. The moon is the closest to the earth, and Mercury is the closest to the sun. So think about that. And the sun, moon, and earth, and Mercury's the communicator between the sun and the gods. Think about what I'm telling you here and showing you here. Gemini is dealing with the Kundalini and Castor and Pollux. Hermes has got the staff of Caduceus, which has got the two snakes on it, coming from Jupiter, which is Jupiter ascending. Abraxas is in there. Woo, there's a lot of syncs in there. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I've been tailoring on here. What is it you saw during this presentation? Thanks for sticking with me. Not sure how long this one is, but I do all these improv. But anyway, I'd love to hear your observations. I hope you had fun with this one. The speed of light, now we know what it's all tied to, and there's no doubt about it at this point anymore. All right, so we'd love to hear your comments. Keep them coming. Much appreciation for all you that have donated. Those of you that are Patreons of mine, appreciate you. Those of you that have gotten readings, appreciate you. You know who you are. Powerful people. Those of you that are interested in a reading, send me an email. Request that, decodeyourreality@gmail.com. I have selected dates still left in June. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for today. My name is Logan for Decode Your Reality. Until next time, we will see you later.